arena. It was very apropos. And Jack Givens made the first field goal, pull-up jumper, of course, for Goose. So it's been really fun. It's been a fun week for us. Over the weekend, we had our 2 guys from last year score their first points in a Jerry West uniform, which is awesome. And we love watching those guys be successful. Hit me with questions.
What did you see on the tape from the first half offensively against Nichols? What kind of stood out?
A lot. It was kind of like we were a little bit of a bumbling mess, which happens sometimes. It was everything. We actually had some good possessions where we just didn't finish them. We had some real stagnation. We had some misreads. Their defensive package was solid, I think, for us. We didn't convert on offensive rebound opportunities. It was kind of, we missed some free throws. It was a lot of different things, but mostly it was just us kind of establishing a feel for the game and really dialing in on being incredibly aggressive to make plays for our teammates.
How much of losing Jalen for this last little stretch has hurt kind of the offensive progression especially?
I don't know. I think short term it has an impact. I think long term it's going to make us better.
Just other guys getting reps.
Yeah, and it forces you to, kind of dig under the hood and explore a bunch of things. I think sometimes, having, everybody's roster is always dynamic, right? It's always changing. And so the more it is, the more you get to kind of look in and kind of tinker and figure things out and understand things better in a new way. And so I think certainly that's exactly what I'd say. Not having DA and J-Lo force us to kind of look at some things in different ways, which is going to help us in the long run. It really does. I mean, that's actually coach speak, but it's coach speak because it's true.
How has Jalen responded the last couple of days, and does it look like he's going to make his debut?
I think so. He'll have a full practice today. He's been really good the last couple of days, and so I hope so.
A couple guys were mentioning on Tuesday night that the cutting really improved in the second half and helped the offense get into more of a flow. Obviously, you guys are trying to cut and do things within your flow of the offense, but just what differentiates the way that your team is trying to cut and what that opens up for guys on the court?
Well, we'd like to have way more pace to the game, and we keep trying to incorporate some more pace to the game. Our guys are learning a little bit about the gravity of, there's a sense of kind of understanding the gravity of different guys on the team and kind of where they have the most draw and the most impact. And so that's something that we're learning a little bit. And that the easy way to say it is just learning, how to play with each other. But the more intentional way of saying it is just understanding where guys can earn gravity on the floor. And that's it changes with every different style that a team guards you with. It changes with different personnel. It changes with the flow of the game. It changes with, how much pace you have. It changes with all those things. So it's just something our guys are learning.
What are some of the next milestones that you want JQ to hit in his recovery? And is there any sense of when he might be returning for full contact at practice?
Yeah, he's unbelievable. He's been increasingly ahead of schedule. And he's now jumping in on some 5-on-0 stuff with us on the floor. He's just been cleared to do that, and he's racing up and down the floor a little bit, doing stuff with no contact, and he's on his way. And so we have one more really important strength test that'll come up here in I think 3 weeks. Right now, his asymmetry is almost negligible. It's pretty incredible, and so we'll put him through that and see where he goes. But the work he's put in has been just really inspiring, and he is moving on the court really well right now.
What is Trent's status for tomorrow night? And then I don't think you ever really got to talk about what prompted you to put him in that starting lineup with all the other injuries at the beginning of the exhibition season. Just what did you see from him?
Well, Trent's been so good. He's been so solid. He shot the ball so well. He's been such a good decision maker. He's, in his year and a couple months here has been one of our best ball protection guys and one of our elite level shooters. And he's a good decision maker. He plays the way that we play. He makes the decisions that we try and make. He's growing as a defensive player. You know, his feet have been getting better and better. His chest has been getting better, and his understanding of concepts has been getting better. So he you know, I felt like he really brought us some peace on the court in that starting lineup, and I expect he's going to be back soon. You know, I don't think we'll practice him today. I don't know if he'll be available tomorrow. I'm guessing maybe it's probably a toss-up whether he will be or not. I'm probably leaning to saving him and just trying to get him healthy. The one complicated thing about Trent, and you love players like this, I love having guys like this. I would kill to have a roster full of guys like this, but you know he's never going to tell you that he's in pain, ever, ever, ever. And so I'll probably err a little bit on the side of caution with him.
Does that make it harder with players like that? Do you want to just go to them and say, like, hey, you have to be 100%?
No, it makes it so much better as a coach. Like, it's a gift to coach guys like that. It really is. It's awesome.
You got the chance at the end of the game on Tuesday.
I love when you coach a guy that you have to pull him off the floor. Like, that's incredible. It just is different. Sorry.
You got the chance at the end of the game on Tuesday night to toss Walker and Zach in there, and I know that's not an every game occurrence,
Yeah.
but it's certainly something that seems like their teammates enjoy, the crowd responds to. How much enjoyment is that for yourself to give those guys some run, and what does it mean to reward them with even a little bit of playing time for all the stuff they do behind the scenes that we don't know about?
The best moment for me was not actually at the game. It was at our film session, our post-game autopsy film session, because Coach Brooks highlighted an unbelievable championship chest by Walker Horn, and it was cool. You know, he does it on video where it's great, where it actually blows up the picture and circles it and slow-moed it. And I think there was some Chariots of Fire music behind it. It was awesome.
Is Cam still trying to figure his way into just playing at this level, do you think?
I don't know if it's playing at this level. You know, it's just our guys are figuring each other out, and that's going to be. I mean, that's every team in the country. It just is what it is. There's just a process of trying to figure out how you feel and where you feel and how you fit and what works. Cam has got such a massive upside. He's going to be a terrific player, and right now he's trying to figure out, you know, like all of our guys, just how this thing works.
You obviously put this roster together wanting some more physicality, athleticism kind of across the board, but when you did that, did you know that the practices would end up like that too? Because it sounds like from guys over here last year that it's a lot more, not just competitive, but physical.
Yeah, I didn't. We came in intentionally wanting to be able to go good versus good every day. You know, we couldn't do that last year. You know, almost, I mean, for the vast majority of the season, I mean, we were so down on bodies last year that we could basically go good against coaches, was kind of how it felt most of the second half of the season. So I knew that we wanted to be able to go good versus good. Like, our guys get better going good versus good, and it's challenging and competitive going good versus good every single day. And our guys, it's just the best way to improve. You know, you think about it, you have 31 games in the course of a season, and you know, you're getting hundreds of practices, and our practices are high level and elite, and our guys are getting better, and that'll come through as we get through the season. But I love it. I'm really grateful that we have the opportunity to do that here, and I think our guys are too. Practice is so fun. Like, it gets salty and competitive, and guys get angry, and it's actually fun.
What can you tell us about that?
Good team. You know, they're a good team. They play with a ton of pace. They really try and hurt you in transition. They're so aggressive on the offensive glass. I think they had 16 offensive rebounds in their opener, and they're, you know, I think they rebounded close to 35% of their you know, their offensive rebound rate was close to 35%. So they're really great in transition. They really go with the glass. They have some physicality to them. Bigs that can make plays. They're kind of a little bit of a Gonzaga vibe in the way they play, the pace they play with, some of the basic actions that they run. Their transition continuity is very similar, and so it'll be a great game. It should be a really fun game. It's going to be a physical, competitive game from a team that's a storied program. It's got a great history.
Mark, if you look at the Georgetown game and
Yeah, Denzel makes a big difference. It helps our other guys too. Like being able to, Colin Chandler is right now is a better defender at the off guard spot than he is a guard and a point guard. That's just true. So is Jasper, for that matter, in some space. Although Jasper's defensive effort was terrific the last several days in practice and in the game. And so it helps move our guys to more natural positions, at least for some part of the game. And DA himself is an elite level defender. He's a great competitor. We talked about it after the game, but for him to come in after sitting for 5 days and be a 6-0 guy and do it the way we do it, right, was awesome. If he's a 6-0 guy all season long, we're going to be really good. And the way he approached the game, he got to 6-0 by making really, really reproducible plays. It was plays that he could actually make every single game. And his toughness and his physicality and his IQ showed through. So it helps all the guys on our team when we're able to move that lineup downwind.
You had mentioned earlier this summer about instituting, I think, the 30-minute weekly meetings with players
Yeah.
and getting that one-on-one time with them. I know it's very early stages
Yeah.
of the season, but I'm curious, do you find that relationship strengthened at all so far as a result of that, and maybe the way that they trust you in huddles or when you're making lineup situations, substitution patterns?
Yes. The answer is yes. And right now we've had to consolidate, so now it's like I'm getting 4 guys together for 30 minutes. It's been a little harder now. We're trying to iron that out. But, yeah, I think so. Listen, us communicating, like sometimes communication is really painful. But it's important, and it's got to be the bedrock of this team for us to function. We have a lot of guys who are going to make a lot of sacrifices this year to actually accomplish something extraordinary and to elevate this team and this program and themselves to a higher level than they could ever do on their own. But to do that, when every influence and force in the world is telling you as an individual that you should be doing the opposite, that's a challenge, and that's something that we'll be working on. That's going to be a work in progress every single day throughout the course of the season. It's a beautiful, blessed challenge to have, and I think we have the guys built to do it.
Coach, how do you evaluate the opportunity on the recruiting trail of adding guys mid-year while weighing the risks of adding someone disrupting the chemistry of the team?
We haven't spent a ton of time there. I love my roster right now. And so I don't worry about disrupting a team so much because the team is always getting disrupted with guys in and out of injury, for example, in and out of rotation. And I think we have such a solid locker room that I think the core of our locker room is so solid that we could probably throw anything at our group and they would respond well. But I'm not looking to add anything right now because I actually love our team. I think, we did all the work of assembling this group, and now it's like the yeoman's task of like figuring out this group and us figuring out each other. And so I'm fully committed to, that's where all my attention is going right now.
Mark, you look back to almost 4 years ago that Colin signed with you at BYU. When you think back to him as a high schooler, is a game like Tuesday, is that what you envisioned?
Was it really 4 years ago?
Almost 4 years ago. I had to look at Google it.
Yeah.
November 11th.
I mean, how fun was that, right? So I'll tell you a couple things about Colin. So I was really proud of him. I talked to him after the game for a while, called him, a couple hours after the game and just asked him what his experience was. And, it's like everybody's rotation is going to change just based on how the flow of the game is. And he told me, he's like, he went 0 for 3 from the three-point line to start, and he made a couple decisions that he was like, I'd love to have that back, where he had a little frustration. He was great on the defensive end to start the game. And so he sat, and he sat there a little longer than he was hoping to sit there, which happens. That's just the reality of the game. And so what he told me is so I was sitting there, I was just like, man, when I go back in, I'm going to make the simple play. I'm going to make the simple play. I'm going to make the simple play. And when you had, that's a second-year guy. It's a second-year guy that understands that, because you could sit there and be mad and angry and frustrated and sad and blame and excuse and all this stuff, but he was just like, nope, this is what I got. So where's my control in this thing? My control is that I'm going to actually focus right now that when I get back in this game, that I'm going to go make the simple play. And the simple play was to go 4 for 4 for the three-point line and have maybe the highlight dunk of the year. That's the simple play. That's where the simple play leads you. And it's one of the beautiful things that you learn as an athlete is that you actually control everything. one of the things we spend a lot of time with our guys on is just reminding them, don't give away your power. We've talked about this together as a group, our family right here. We've talked about this, but never give away your power. Every time you point a finger at someone else, you're essentially saying that they have control over your existence now and your future later. Never do that, man. Be stubborn and, in a sense, arrogant and be like, nope, I'll find a way. I'll figure out a way to do this. I'll figure out a way. I'm not allowing someone else to take blame for this, because if I do, then that means I really don't ultimately have control, and we don't live there as athletes. We never want to live there as athletes, ever. It's always about like, okay, so this is what I got right now. How am I going to figure out how to do this? And that was a great example from Colin on doing that. And then the results were super fun. And I think that's how he's built. I think that's how the guys in my locker room are built. They are problem solvers. They don't sit in problems. They don't bellyache about problems. They don't complain about problems. They don't blame about problems. They try and go figure them out. And I think that's, as long as we can stay in that space, I think we have a chance to be great. So in that moment, he set a great example for our team. It was super fun. The top play in Sports Center was super fun. The Little Wayne tweeting out about him was super fun. LeBron jumping on the bandwagon was fun. The pictures were great. I think BBN had so much fun with it. And I think I expect that all of our guys are going to have those moments this year. And that's really great when you have a team full of guys that can have those moments. That was a really fun moment.
He seems so soft-spoken and
Yeah.
mild-mannered when he's with us, very even-keeled.
Mhm.
How does he flip that switch to become that guy?
He's a killer, okay? So the word on the street, you guys have to ask Colin, but the word on the street is that his family doesn't like to play board games with him because he almost wins every time, and when he doesn't, he's really salty about it. So he is a killer. He's a competitor. He fits in exactly with our locker room. And he's also paying the price. He comes every single day and competes full speed every single day. And it's incredible to, we spend too much time on this, but it's fun. There was so much video footage of that particular play, close-up stuff, and you kind of see the expression on his face as he goes to finish that play. And I like to think about those expressions as that expression is not something that he just made up. It's something that's been earned through like pain and suffering, through failure and setback, through a lot of doubts. This makes me emotional because I love this part of the game. Through fighting through a lot of doubts and times where you thought maybe this isn't going to work, or was this the right path, or am I doing the right thing, or can I even be a good enough player to do this? When you capture those tiny little moments, it's actually really special, because that's what sports is, man. That's what athletics is. It's like, and you only know if you know. You only really get it if you've immersed yourself in it that much that you know. But when you have moments like that, it's pretty great. And our guys have all had moments like that, and they're going to have way more. And we're gonna have them this season, because there's going to be times this season where we don't think things are going to work, or we're getting crushed, or it's not right, or nothing feels right, and you wonder if it's going to work, or you wonder if you're ever going to get off the bench, or if you wonder if you're going to make another shot or whatever. And then you fight through all that fear and anxiety and doubt and work and pain, and then you get a moment like that, and it really means something. It's very cool. This is one play. Let's talk about this when we hang a banner, right? That'll be the great part.
What's the next step in his progression, Collins?
Yeah.
Especially now that, he just seems to have a lot more confidence right now, opposed to a year ago at this time,
Yep.
for obvious reasons.
Yeah, he's got so many areas where he's trying to improve his game. Like, he'd like to become a lockdown ball screen defensive player. He'd like to become a lockdown defender at the point of attack. I think he'd love to be, he's worked so hard on his handle this summer. I think he'd like to be actually float around the floor a little bit easier off the bounce. I think he'd like to become a more consistent shooter, although he's shooting 50% from the three over his last 30 threes, I think, something in live play. But I think he'd like to become a better communicator and leader, like all of us would. So there's so many spaces for his game to grow, just like all the guys on our team.
Obviously been very complimentary of Braden
Yeah.
since he graduated a few months ago. I know he's not Keyshawn Prince right now.
Yeah.
But just what have you seen from him over the first couple of months he's been on campus, and maybe the biggest strides of his game in areas where he still needs to get up to speed at the college
Yeah,
level?
he's a little bit of a sponge. He picks stuff up really fast. I think I'm telling you, I remember, you know, there's sometimes I think as coaches when you just can see it, like it's not hard to see, and it's not like we're rocket scientists because everybody that spends time with BH can see it. And when you spend time with him on the floor, you can see it. But he's got so much learning and growing to do. But he is like he's so far away, but he's so close actually. Like I think his progression is going to be lightning speed. And we might not see it on the court for a while, but all of a sudden he's going to step on the court and everyone's going to be like, where did he come from? And like, how is this happening? I think that's actually the player he's going to be. So he's learned, you know, his head's spinning a little bit, trying to learn all these concepts and trying to figure out some places. You know, he's a different body type. He's got a different skill set. So he's got to learn his own individual way to make things work. But he's got a huge upside, and the best thing about him is his joy is just incredible, and he brings it every single day, and his laugh is contagious, and the guys love him, and he loves the guys. But he's going to be a big time basketball player.
Is a red shirt something that's on the table for him, something that's been discussed, or is that too far away to even think about?
We don't know yet. Reese is committed right now to red shirt, so we're expecting to red shirt Reese unless something changes, which always can happen. With BH, we're still trying to feel the waters a little bit. So I'll be cautious about him. I'm not going to burn it. You know, we're having kind of conversations regularly now about how we feel about that and what's best for him. But it's an ongoing conversation.
Back to JQ for just a second. You talked about him having to pass a strength test in a few weeks. What does passing that test look like?
Well, it's two things, and just a 30,000-foot view. One, it's comparing his strength to players his size, weight, and mobility. And then two, it's comparing the symmetry between his injured leg function in all different forms and his healthy leg, and kind of against the benchmark of where he was when he first got here. So it's way too complicated for me to understand. But I trust the guys that are doing it, and he's you know, he's a kind of a record-breaking guy. You know, in fact, you know, if you come watch him do 5-on-0 full court, he was doing transition 5-on-0 with us yesterday, and you just watch him run down the court, and you're like, he just looks different than I looked as a basketball player.